Alright guys, we are back for another episode of the Championship Transfer Rumour Roundup, and we now have confirmation over who will be competing in the league next season. Congratulations to Sheffield Wednesday and really commiserations to Barnsley, a gutting way to lose the League One playoff final in the end. But I have to say the standard of the 23/24 Championship season really is looking like it could be at an all-time high. I for one can't wait to jump into next season. We've got all the preview content which will be coming out over these next couple of months, and plenty of transfer speculation to come in that time as well. As always, if you're going to enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like and do get any other rumours that you've seen in the comments down below. Without any further ado, let's first of all jump into some done deals. We saw Kieran Dowell complete his move to Rangers on a free transfer. This one had been on the cards for quite some time. Rangers got that link recently with Norwich, obviously, which intel Cantwell start out life in Scotland really well, and Dowell will be looking to follow in his footsteps. Also had confirmation about Niall Ennis moving over to Blackburn as well. Rovers not messing about with their start to this transfer window. Important they got a little bit more attacking quality in through the door with Brereton Diaz going out this summer. And Ennis is an interesting one. Goals per minute ratio really successful in League One from last season. Just a question of if they can keep him consistently fit and can get him up to Championship standard. I think quite a bit of savvy bit of business by Coventry here, snapping up Jay De Silva on a free transfer. His contract was up at Bristol City and Coventry have swooped straight in. Looks like a decent player for that system in that wing back role. They were in need of more cover on that left hand side, and potentially this frees up Bidwell to maybe move inside as the left sided centre half next season. Certainly gives Mark Robbins a little bit more room for tactically tweaking stuff, but 25 years old, I think that's a decent move there for Coventry, especially on a free transfer. And we've also got a little bit of managerial news to dive into as well, because Carlos Corberán does have his admirers at Leeds United. Feels like this is the sort of rumour that could rumble on for the next few weeks, as Leeds are still trying to iron out who they go with for next season in terms of their manager. Now, Corberán has been long linked with a move back to Leeds, obviously has previously spent time there as a coach. And it was after Leeds originally departed company with Jesse Marsh that he was linked with a move back to Ellen Road. In the end, that didn't materialise, and he actually signed a new contract with West Brom until 2027, although all of these managerial contracts tend to have buyout clauses, and Leeds could go ahead and cough up the big bucks if they want to go ahead and secure Corberán as their manager going into next season. Now, I have to admit, I do think he ticks a lot of boxes for what I assume Leeds will be looking for with a managerial candidate coming into the Championship this season. He's already familiar with the surroundings at Leeds, having previously worked there, and his track record in the Championship I think is excellent. You know, 2 good seasons at Huddersfield, the first one building the foundation, second one a playoff final. He had West Brom playing like a top 6 outfit during his stint at the club so far, and took them from a broken position under Steve Brewster, challenging for the top 6, and a player who's got a good coaching track record with the players he's brought up so far. You can definitely see why the interest is there, but Leeds are still exploring some other options as well. West Brom fans in particular, I'd be interested to get your take on that one and whether you think he would jump ship. But those are some of the deals that we have seen go through in the Championship over the last couple of days. Now, without any further ado, let's hop into some transfer rumours. So it has been revealed that Leeds United's Brendan Aronson does have a release clause in his contract which could be activated this summer following Leeds going down to the Championship. Aronson, he's not really been able to stick it in a Leeds shirt so far. Despite a fairly promising start, I think it quickly transpired that he wasn't quite up to Premier League standard, and based off that debut season, I'd be quite surprised if any Premier League clubs did come in for him. And you could even make the argument that maybe dipping down to the Championship may actually serve him well, but I'd expect a bit of interest from other sides from around Europe, and it's still 22 and a promising player. He probably is one of Leeds' more saleable assets that they could cash in on, depending on what that release clause is currently set at. Osayi-Samuel is being linked with a move back to England, with both Leeds and Bournemouth said to be interested. Now, he's had an interesting career since leaving QPR, was one of the brightest and most upcoming prospects in the Championship while at QPR. He then made his move over to Turkey and is still playing for Fenerbahce today. His development has been a little bit surprising from my point of view. He's been converted into more of a defensive player while in Turkey, often playing at right back, but for me personally, and definitely in his QPR days was at his best in the final third when he had that licence to really roam at defenders, and especially when he had them isolated in 1v1 situations. His pace can be absolutely electric, and yeah, up against Championship defenders in those final couple of seasons at QPR especially, he was absolutely frightening. In the Championship, averaging just under 3 successful dribbles per 90. I hope that wherever that next move for Osayi-Samuel is, I hope they unleash him in more of an attacking role, because for me personally, that's where I think you really get the best out of him. But he's 25 years old now, and to be honest, ever since he made that move over to Fenerbahce, it didn't take long before some links back to England did start to emerge, so I certainly wouldn't be surprised to see him on the move this summer. Whether it's Leeds or not, we'll wait and see. And we've had some big news on the former Leeds United winger Jack Clarke, coming from Fabrizio Romano himself, claiming that Burnley, Brentford and Crystal Palace have all submitted offers for the Sunderland winger. Brilliant season for Clarke, this time in the Championship. 9 goals, 12 assists. In terms of successful dribbles in the league this season, he ranks 5th with 94, and I certainly think in the second half of the season really improved his overall goal output in terms of those goals and assists, and how crucial he was in the end to getting Sunderland into the top 6. You know, Diallo took plenty of the plaudits for that Sunderland squad, but he alongside Roberts I think were just as important in scoring some of those big goals for them. Now, as Fabrizio Romano has reported, Sunderland are currently negotiating a new deal for Clarke and trying to tie him down to a new long-term deal, but time will tell if any of that Premier League interest is too good for Sunderland to turn down right now. And sticking with Sunderland, we have had some reports that Amad Diallo would be open to another loan spell at the Stadium of Light. Now, this one would be a massive booster for Sunderland, but I think they'd have to jump through quite a few hoops to go ahead and secure his services for another season. One of the outstanding players in the Championship, a player who can conjure up a moment of magic from literally nothing, and yeah, Sunderland fell in love with him. It always goes the saying, you know, don't fall in love with loan players, but I don't think Sunderland fans stood much of a chance with how good Diallo actually was last season. Now, Man United have a couple of options on what they can go ahead and do with him. From my perspective, I don't think he's quite at that level to be in the United squad, you know, week in, week out in the Premier League right now. Of course, they could use him as a rotation option in the Cups and things like that, but for his development, I think another loan move could very well be on the cards. The area where Sunderland may struggle to get him back, despite the player being open to the move, is I think we're going to see some clubs from around Europe and other clubs in the Premier League willing to take him after how well he did in the Championship this time around. We've already had some reports that Feyenoord would be open to taking him, and obviously the lure of European football could be an attracting one. I also think we'll get quite a few lower end Premier League clubs who would also be open to taking Diallo on a season-long loan as well, as that next step in his development. But yeah, from a personal standpoint, I mean, I'd love to see him back in the Championship for another year. We've also had some news regarding Wolves defender Dion Sanderson, as Birmingham are now pushing to sign him on a permanent basis. Definitely a popular player within the Birmingham fan base. 31 starts in the Championship this season, at an age as well where there will be that resale value for Birmingham in years to come if he does continue to develop at his current rate, being 23 at the moment. Now, the latest reports are claiming that Wolves value him around £2 million, and while that is expensive for, I think, a lot of Championship clubs where, you know, if you don't have those parachute payments, those sort of figures being spent by Championship teams have become increasingly rare, I think it's fair to say. But Birmingham could have a little bit of money coming in themselves this summer if that deal for Joe Bellingham does go through, which we discussed last time. And like I said, at 23 years old, he is at an age where he will have that resale value in years to come if he does continue to develop at Birmingham. And we're seeing plenty of Championship interest in Crystal Palace youngster Killian Phillips. He spent the second half of last season on loan with Shrewsbury and really impressed, winning the Young Player of the Season award. In 19 League One appearances, scored 3 goals, got 2 assists. At 21 years old now, does look like a promising player, and you can see why so many Championship clubs would be interested. Stoke, Coventry and Luton have all thrown their hat in the ring for the 21-year-old. And I think everyone's expecting a mass sale at Leicester City, and Harvey Barnes could go ahead and lead that off along with James Maddison. Now, Leicester reportedly value both players around that 40 or 40 plus million mark, and interestingly enough, both Newcastle and Tottenham are interested in both players, which could go ahead and bump each of their price tags up that little bit if there is a bidding war to ensue for both players. From a Leicester perspective, I actually think it would work more in their favour if they do manage to shift some of those players off earlier earlier in the window, so they've got a bit more of a realistic idea of who the players will be that will stick around for the championship season and the positions that they obviously will need to strengthen because of that. Little bit of a tenuous link this one, but Nathan Redmond has been linked with Watford. Valérien Ismaël was the manager to sign Redmond while at Besiktas, so I'm sure that's where this link has come from, and the fact that he could be on the move once again in the summer, obviously. Great player for Southampton previously in the Premier League. Redmond now 29 years old. 5 goals, 5 assists in the Turkish Super League this season, but as of right now doesn't seem to be the strongest of links. But guys, there we have it. Quick little update for you today with some of the most recent transfer rumours I've seen flying around the Championship. As always, do get any others that you've seen in the comments down below, and make sure to stick around and subscribe for some regular Championship content. But for that guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.